People that come to see me are coming because they feel like they've got issues in their life. And most of us, as we grow up and as we step into our lives, we're going to find that there's things we have to deal with, things aren't going as smoothly as we like, we don't feel how we'd like to feel, we're going to have issues. The question is, how do we end up with those issues? Because all of us are born with this lovely beingness, this connection that we have within ourselves. It's like when we're babies, we feel gorgeous. And we're not looking around going, oh, I've got issues, how am I going to do this whole thing? So what happens if we start off with that lovely beingness inside and then end up with issues? What's going on? How does that happen? What happens is that there we are, we're young, we're connected, we're feeling lovely, but there's something going on outside of us that isn't so lovely. And we're really sensitive when we're young, so we'll feel that and we'll start to focus outside because we're trying to work out what's going on there. A lot of it doesn't feel loving and it doesn't feel sometimes like it's safe. So we're out there checking out what's happening. The trouble with that is that we end up staying outside of ourselves in that checking mode, checking what's going on outside there, and we start to lose the connection with ourselves, which is such a pity. So we end up stuck outside, checking what's going on, and then what we end up doing is finding strategies to cope with what's going on. Because say you've got parents that are really strict, you might end up becoming someone who just tries to do everything perfectly in order to protect yourself from that strictness. You might have parents that are a bit chaotic, so a choice might be to just be the clown and try and diffuse all the craziness that's going on, so you'll end up taking on the clown sort of role. Another choice might be, if your parents are a little bit scary, you might become someone who always tries to make them happy, always tries to do the right thing. And all that is understandable because you're trying to survive a situation that is not always safe for you. The trouble is what that ends up with is a grown-up who is separated from themselves and then is still using those strategies to try and cope with life. So the person who is always trying to be nice ends up being a people pleaser and unable to live their own life and speak up for themselves. That then becomes your issue. The person who was the clown and trying to survive in the chaos ends up being someone who's disconnected from their feelings, can never be serious, always making a joke and out of touch with their own feelings. The person who was a perfectionist in order to try and cope, they end up being someone perhaps who is always anxious and always trying to do the right thing and always making sure that everything is exactly perfect and exactly right. You could end up being fairly controlling if you're like that. All of that is such a pity because that's not where we started off, but it's understandable given what was going on around us. And as well as that, there's one other thing that can lead to the issues related to this, is that what was going on around outside us is that people weren't actually seeing who we really were. They weren't seeing our true self. And they were saying things to us like, I love you when you do this. Try harder when you do that. Oh, you got an A, that's great, you're brilliant. Oh, you're really pretty. They're telling us things about this identity self out here, but they're not telling us who we are inside here. They're not seeing this and they're not talking to this. So we end up, again, separating from that and becoming this other person that they relate to. And that's such a pity because who we are is this person inside here. This self hasn't got the issues, it's the person we've become outside here. And that's how we get our issues.